Alright, I'm here. I'm gonna make a creature for the Spec Evo Evolution program. While I sip some tea, and then some water, and then go make more tea, and, I'm gonna do stuff. Things and stuff. And I don't need these guys. Get rid of them. Alright, so, I have my desktop audio muted, because I'm gonna listen to some music and whatnot. So... And, let's see. So let me find my music. Let's see, what do I want today? Go there. Let me get some. I'm not telling you what I'm listening to, but it's gonna be fun. Alright, here we go. Alright, so today I am making this creature. I'm gonna pull it up here. This is the Lord Hub. I don't know exactly why it's called that. I don't really care. So we got all sorts of nice stuff here. We got a drawing, a little Christmassy look to it. Let's see. We got these nice little differentiated head tentacles, the four eyes up front here. I like this definition on the head. A little like ridge there. You can see where it lives. Northern Ras Al Khaimah, like southeast Natash, all around Chateng. Oh, you gotta go shower? Well, pull other people in, man. Yeah, we got this out of the water, a top-down view of the head. So, yeah. Now, it doesn't have as much reference as I sometimes like, because I would like to get like a top-down and a side view. But I think there's still enough to work with here. So I'm going to put it off to the side so I can see it on my other monitor and it's not actually over the, what do you call it? The window here. I'm still a little groggy, man. I just woke up. Alright, so let's actually get started with this. So how do we do this? Alright. Oh, what up, HM? Alright, so let's tab into edit mode, go to face select, grab this guy, send it out a little bit. Alright, insert, bring it down, bring it out, extrude, bring it up, bring it out a little bit. Out a little bit. Okay. Whoops. There we go. So this guy had a sort of wedge-shaped face, so we're gonna bring this down, out a little bit. All right. So now I want this to be a little bit flatter up this way. I'm gonna put this up here. And actually, I want the whole of this bottom to actually just be thinner. I want this thing to be flatter. Just gonna come on, deselect. There we go. So we're gonna scale this down on the z-axis so it's flatter. We're gonna bring it up a bit. There we go. Oh, Squidum, Sean O'Donnell, what up? So I actually am planning on doing more of these sculpting videos. It's fun, and people want to see how I go about making the pictures, so let's let them. And if you don't want to see it, don't watch. So yeah, that's probably a thing that's gonna be a thing. Alright, so we need to get some head tentacles in here. So there's an anterior and a posterior pair. They're fairly well separated. So we're going to put in a couple edge loops here so we can extrude them. And then we need, let's see. Here we go. So we're going to add these in, right? But I'm going to get these guys, turn on proportional editing, and get these guys to be a little bit fatter. Okay, I'm going to look back at my reference. Okay, so the head is overall significantly narrower than the body, so I'm gonna grab these guys. Turn off proportional editing. Alright, that's close to the original proportions that I'm seeing. Looks like the back is narrower though, so we're gonna turn proportional editing back on. Squeeze down the back a little bit. There we go, I like that. Alright, I'm also gonna put an edge loop just through the top here. That'll make it easier to do symmetrical UV mapping and textures. And it will also make it easier for me to do this. Oh. Come on. Alright, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. Check this out. Oops, dot vertices. Get rid of these two? Not this one. Come on. Alright, then I'm gonna add a mirror. Boom. Let's turn on clipping. Bam, check that out. Oh yeah. Don't want any of these. Don't want that. But I want this here. We're gonna bring that up a little bit. Give it a little bit of a vaulted dome look. 1:45 a.m. here. Ooh, Sean, man, that's rough. You know what? It'll stay up though. Like, it'll always be here. Alright, so let's grab... not these two. Alright. Alright, that's starting to look pretty good. Alright, so another thing we're going to do is we're going to get some separation. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to inset. So, we'll go here. Inset a little bit. Inset a little bit. Inset a little bit. Inset a little bit. Boom. Alright, so now... let's go on normal. There we go. Go back to global, set it to SZ0. Boom. Go back to global, go back to global. Medium point, SC0. Alright, we got our legs. They need to go down a little bit more though. Yeah. Give some clearance to walk around. Okay. Also, I feel like this here is too flat. Yeah, that's looking good. Oh, Wonder Tutor. Welcome, man. Thank you. This creature is, I didn't show, or I did show it, but it was earlier in the stream. So this creature is called the Lore Tub, and it is a submission for the Spec Evo Evolution project. And, yeah. It lives in tide pools, and it's got some specialized feeding appendages here. So, and actually, I just realized that the anterior tentacles are much more anterior than I had previously thought, so I'm going to have to slightly change my plan. So let's see, what's my plan here? They actually go, like, all the way up here. Alright, so I'm going to take off clipping for now. Or not clipping, merge. Actually, and clipping. And we're going to go up here. We're going to squeeze this down a little bit to get it a little more tentacly. Alright, there we go. Let's give it a few edge loops to work with here. Yes! Alright, we'll turn back on version clipping. So if you don't take off clipping, and you try to do that, it would just come out as one solid piece, and it wouldn't be able to separate them. So... yes, it is a Durospina descendant. Alright, so now let's get the anterior, or the posterior pair, that can't talk. Alright, so they come from down lower and they're really way at the back. Okay, that works. I can do that. They also seem like they come from the top and bottom of the head, so get something there. Alright, but then again, we're going to squeeze it down, and I'm also going to slide this guy down so it's more centrally located. Okay. Alright, and then we've got this odd little, like, spatulate section here. So we're gonna... These aren't probably long enough, but, we'll make them a little bit longer. Give us an extra edge loop in here. Okay. So far, so good. And actually, I just realized we need an extra loop cut along here to get these flatter. There we go. So remember, hit like and share this and whatever. I got 10 Twitter notifications? Goodness. Sorry. Tabbed away because people were bugging me on Twitter. I say bugging me, but like they're all friends and whatnot, so it's fine. Alright, so for the sake of accuracy, I always tend to include the wait, no. These guys are Durospina, they got a one-way digestive tract, don't they? Yeah. I don't remember. I'm not gonna think about it right now. Alright, so here we need to get the spatulate ends here. So we're gonna bring this out a little bit, shrink it down on the x-axis, down on the z-axis. Move that on that side, nice and distinct on this side. Alright, and then we have this little conical section on this guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to extrude, scale, push it out a little bit, extrude again, shrink it way down, but pull it out a little bit more. And then we're going to go in, grab this central vertex, pull it out even more. Alright, there we go. That is the base mesh, basically. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Alright, next we're going to add in a UV sphere. Oh, where'd you go? Get this shade smooth. Oh, I might have to sneeze. Excuse me, I just sneezed. Oh, just being part of the project is already great. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you're having fun, man. I'm having fun with this. All right, so we're gonna add the mirror modifier. Boom! Instantly, eyes. Awesome. All right, let's give this guy a mouth. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this right here, inset it a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of this face, and just move this over. All right, there we go. Then I'm gonna rotate a little bit. Oh. There, now he's got a little mouth. Awesome. Let's shade smooth again, because I think Blender's getting confused about that. There we go. Alright, now comes some of the fun parts. Alright, Squidum, you have a good night, man. Sorry that, you know, time zones are as they are. But yeah, please enjoy your sleep. Okay, come on. Actually, this might be a good time to get some UV maps before I actually start sculpting. So, let's see. I want a cut. Oh. Cut here. Cut here. Cut here. Oh, yeah, that's good. Cut here. Here, 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 here. Oh, here and here. And here, and here. Okay. I don't actually need the cut on top. Let's see. I want this to be a cut. Get all these cuts. Cut, 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 cut. I want this to be a cut. Let's turn this off here. Actually, that's actually the correct order. Let's see. I'm gonna turn this off in the viewport so I can more easily see what the heck's going on. I want that to be a cut. I want there to be a cut here. And no, I don't need a cut there. Is that enough cutting on this? Yeah, probably. You don't want to go overboard because then your UV just gets to be a mess that no one can interpret. But alright, let's cut these. Alright. So we're gonna go in. No, I'm having a brain fart because I'm too groggy. Mark seam, there we go. Okay. So now we'll turn this back on. Whatever. Stop it. There we go. Okay. Well, let's first open up another panel here. So we're going to go to UV editor. So unwrap. Oh my goodness, is that ugly? Oh my goodness, that's a problem. What is this? That's a pretty big problem. All right, so we're gonna need a few more cuts. Yeah. What is this section? Where's the whatever? Hey, Random Evo Times is here. It's like a bivalve shell? A little bit. Alright, why is this a mess like this? And more importantly, where is this mess even coming from? Alright, so here's something else I'm going to do. I'm going to make each of these feet its own section. Oh yeah, that is where the mess is coming from. So we're going to... Meant to do Control E, not E. Come on. There we go, mark scene. There we go, that solved the problem. My goodness, was that ugly. Alright, so I can see where this is. This is on this little tentacle here, and I'm not sure what the problem is. Ah, here's the problem. Alright, yeah. I need to make this, and this, and this, and this edge loops, or seams. Alright. Maybe not. Whatever, I'll just fix it manually. I don't care. Start here. Grab these, rotate it, bring it out here. Alright, then we have to shuffle things a little bit to make it so that this can fit. So, this, and this. And I guess it doesn't matter about that one. Bring them up a little bit on the y-axis, that. Just to the edge there. Rotate this a little bit, bring it down, and boom! No overlap in there. Okay, gonna check for more overlaps, but I'm not seeing any. Uh-oh. Oh, that's just my active quad. Okay. Unless it isn't. Yeah, no, we're good. Okay, that's a connection there. Awesome. Alright. So now we're going to apply the mirror modifier. So now we got this, these UVs are mirrored across. We can actually get rid of the subdivision modifier. We're going to put in a multi-res modifier. Woo! Alright, multi-res. We are going to subdivide. I'm going to start with 4 subdivisions, then I'll probably go up from there. So let's see. Alright. Let's get started with this shell. Alright, I need to look at my reference. This is what I'm trying to make it look like here. Okay, we can make that happen. Let's make it happen. Alright. I mean, we're getting to the point that everyone wants to see, right? The actual sculpting. This is the part where it's probably the most artistic, honestly. Get rid of this squared off-ish kind of scene thing. Actually, we're gonna tab into edit mode real quick, and we're gonna modify this the good old-fashioned way. Bringing this up. Whoop. Ah, not that much. There we go. Oh, come on. Stop it. There we go. There we go. That made them much roundier. We're gonna do the same on here. Smooth. Alright, we're gonna go back up here and we're gonna give some striations. Oh, what up, Vandalia 1998? HM, is this one of the more simple creatures? I don't know. So the feather barrel creatures are probably the most complicated to model. But I mean, then it's probably the Xeno-Yuli, the segmented ones, that are probably next. This one's not too bad. And also, I'm now realizing that I don't have this far forward enough, like, by far. So we're gonna smooth this out what we got now. We're gonna get this guy right up here to the edge. Yeah, right up there. Alright, then we're gonna get this sort of ridge on here going. There seems to be some kind of a brow here. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. I'm gonna grab that. There we go. Yes, this is for my Spec Evo Evolution project, Vandalia 1978. Yep. Alright, now we can go ahead and give those little striations. We're gonna use the clay strips brush. We're gonna be pretty small on this. We're just gonna give it some rough striations here. Actually, you know what? We're gonna have to subdivide again. Here we go, subdividing. Okay. And now we get more definition. Also gonna up the preview to 5. Alright, so this gives me a nice ability to make it look nicely organic. Yeah, look at that. Very organic, much wow. Okay, whoop. Yeah, let's get on orthographic projection. Camera, I don't need you. Should rename this cube. Lore tub. There it is. Now it's called Lore tub. Oh, I just found out Sean, who made the frankly amazing digital painting. Actually, I'll just show it to you guys. This right here. He's making more paintings for the Spec Evo Evolution project, and I absolutely love it. I mean, look at this. This is awesome. I love it. I love everything about this. So, yeah, more of these incoming, apparently. And they will be featured on videos, I promise. Yeah, it's freaking great. Put that back over here. So apparently more of those are incoming, and I could not be happier about that. Alright, so here we go. Let's give it a little push here. Oh. Alright, these are still a little bit too squared off, so we're gonna grab this and this, I'm gonna pull it down a bit, grab this and this, pull it up a little bit. This is one of the advantages of working with the subdivision modifier, which honestly I would prefer to be able to work with dynamic topo, but current Blender not letting me do what you call it, depth map, or what is it, displacement maps easily. There's weird workarounds, but they all kind of suck. Alright, I don't like how pinched this is right here, so we're gonna flatten that out a little bit. We're also going to extend this back a little bit, so. Alright, and then let's get some creases in here. Where'd crease go? Why can't I find? There it is. Alright. So we're going to assume that there's one of the breathing areas here. Another breathing area down here. Alright, now let's see if we can perspective match the drawing. So, where'd it go? Here it is. Oh! Sean, that is you there. I forgot it's the same Sean. Oh, yeah, man, I love those, man. Keep them coming. Alright, so, I extended the tentacles a little bit, but I think I actually like that. It gives it the sense that it can actually reach out into the environment and grab stuff. Alright, T-Lane, you have a good shower and had good food, man. Alright. There we go. So let's back here. Alright, so what else do I need to change here? This back end seems to like come up off of it. Weird to me, but I mean, well, whatever. Let's grab here and a little. All right, give it a little lip there. I don't know why, but we're doing it. All right, let's get back to crease. I'm actually going to add a few even tinier lines in here. Not what I wanted. There we go. There we go. Got these little respiratory slices here. All right. But I also need there to just be a general. Whoa. That's See. What do I need? This to be weaker. Smaller. Okay. Oh. Hey, it's Bob Knob's birthday. Everybody say happy Bob Knob. If you have a way to. Probably don't. That's okay. Right, we're going to do that same de-squarifying that we had over here. Alright. D-squared. There, considerably less square. Alright. Ooh, tentacle-like harpoons for hunting? That's a good idea. If these guys survive, I think someone should probably do that. And if no one does, I might. Like I said, I'm still at the point where I don't know what's going to survive. Not everything. Some of these creatures are going extinct, guys. Yeah, see, the sculpting is where it really starts to come alive. Hey, what up, Brainbug? Man, it's nice to see you here. This might not be my only creature creation stream of the day, by the way, guys. Like, there might be another one coming up. Because I'm planning on hopefully making 2 of these before Kent with Bent later. Which might mean I stream all day. Oh my goodness, I just realized that might be what that means. Oh. Alright. So let's get this thing a little flatter. Yeah, alright. Octopodal. Brainbug? Does it look phallic, Duke Ellington? You say so. I might say more about you than it does about it. So Brainbug, there's not quite an exoskeleton, there is a shell. Alright. Yeah, it's a hydrostatic skeleton, although it's quite small. Let me see if I can't find my reference here. Yeah, its length is 5 centimeters. So it's quite small. Okay. Brainbug, I don't know if I believe in too many questions. I'm not sure if that's a thing. I'm like, you know what I want though? I want like a little crease around here. Yeah. Now I need to know what's the skeleton or the shell made of? Hardened skin, so sort of a keratiny chitinous thing. All right. That's pretty good. All right, so I think our largest creatures are about a meter, but there are not many of those. All right, let's go to option mode. Oh. Fly location. Alright, that's a good start. Keratin should suffice at that scale. Much bigger, it needs something stronger than hydrostatic spore. Oh yeah, yeah. If these guys get bigger, they're gonna have to develop something. Alright. I should have named this lower. What am I capitalizing things for? Lower tub. Texture, image texture. Turn off the subsurface for now. And actually, that's not red enough. Yeah, much redder. There we go. Awesome. So got these little spears and these little spatula guys as mouth parts, brain bug. Sorry, I can't. Sometimes I get lost in doing the thing. So Instant shading. Awesome. All right. On. There we go. Gotta do cleanup. I don't think the green bits are algae. I think it's just a color. Get a sense of how it actually is looking in realistic lighting. It's looking pretty good. It's kind of scary. poking through, that's fine. Alright, let's see. Let's switch back here. Okay, let's go here. Image editor. We're actually going to go ahead and paint a little bit on here, just to smooth out some of this weird nonsense. So, we're going to go to paint, take way down, bring up our tool, color select here, clear that up, clear that up. I don't know why this is weird, but we're going to clear it up. Yeah, that's fine. Alright. So that looks pretty good. So, I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bake this color map. So, what I'm going to do is select you again. We replace this principled BSDF with a emission shader. Pop it in over here, pop it in over here. So what that does basically is it tells the computer like, hey, this thing emits light. It doesn't have its own light. It doesn't, or sorry, it has its own light. It doesn't reflect anything. So you'll see it still casts a shadow, but like it isn't affected by the light. Whereas if I go back over here, it is affected by the light. So what that allows me to fairly easily do is click Wartub file. Okay, now I can just save it. So now I can go over here and I can bake. So we're gonna have to actually we're gonna rename this as paint. And then we're gonna add in a new image. I'm gonna call this Wartub. Fine. Okay, and then we're gonna add in that as an image on here. All right. Wartub call. Okay. So with that selected in here and here, we are going to go to where is it? Where's the mission? Fine, shadow. Here we go. We're gonna bake a and bring this down to 8 pixel on a bitmap. And there you go. I'm gonna crank this up a little bit. Care about that really. What's the actual number I care about? Here we go. Ah, come on. Times 2. There we go. 256 samples should be good. Turn on denoising now so I don't forget later. All right, we're gonna bake. So while baking's going, I'm gonna make another cup of tea. And so that means you guys can enjoy, I don't know, my intermission video.
I want to take a moment to talk about something serious. There is a problem facing late surviving non-avian dinosaurs in modern America. Hunting is very strictly regulated, and only allowed at certain times of the year. This means that for much of the year we have to rely on farm-raised food, which means money. If you want to help a starving dinosaur, please consider donating on Patreon, or buying from my merch store. Links are in the description. Please help. Dinosaurs all over YouTube are depending on you to help them through the hunting off-season.
お、何？誰？お、ゴジラですか？はい、ゴジラさん。はい。
Alright guys, so we are still doing the emission baking, and also my cup of tea isn't quite ready, but thank you for standing around during the intermission. And Identify Leviathan, that was the intermission. You got it here for the intermission. Actually, I've been watching very, very little anime. It's difficult to tell you how little anime I've been watching, but what I have been watching a lot of is Godzilla. Yes, Duke has it right. Too much Godzilla. Alright, I got my tea now. So, there you go. Oh, it's not enough. There is never enough Godzilla. It's impossible. Alright. So, unfortunately, during the baking process, it's literally like baking a cake. You just have to wait. There's nothing else to do. And then hope it turns out right. This creature is the Lortub. What's this guy? Is it Rooibos tea? It's Earl Grey from Bigelow. I'm having tea Earl Grey hot. Well, right now it's still way too hot, so. There you go. Hey, 70% done. We're getting there. No, it is not a real creature. This is from my speculative evolution project. Nice thing about fake creatures is I get to do what I want. No one can come in and be like, that's not an accurate astragalus bone. Okay. Deadly Dakota Raptor, welcome to the stream, and I am very much appreciating that you are catching up on your Klingon, man. Yep. It is it's primarily a water creature, Duke Ellington, but it does crawl about between tide pools occasionally. It cannot spend a lot of time out of water, but it can spend some time out of water. So, but it is far from terrestrial. Yeah, just like Picard from before the show Picard. Oh god, do not. I don't know. Do you guys want me to go on a rant about New Trek? You guys let me know. It's yeah, New Trek is not my favorite thing. Far, far from it. It's true, I can't put the bones wherever I want to. Actually, I'm going to be putting bones in here. Although not wherever I want to. They're going to have to be in places that actually make sense. But, yeah. Can it breathe outside of water? No. No, it cannot. It can't consciously hold its breath, but essentially it stops having gas exchange out of water. So it's sort of like you know how there's some catfish that can't really breathe water, but they can kind of wiggle around between streams or whatever? Yeah. Oh, Duke, you want to rant? Alright, let me know if anyone else does, because, I mean, there's 6 other people watching, and I don't know if they all want me to go on a Star Trek rant. But, yeah. Oh my goodness, come on, you're at 92. Just finish and be right. Ugh, I hate baking. Baking is the worst. You just have to sit there and let it happen. Oh, you guys want to see the, look at this. This is for today. Turn off all the various sections. And I can turn them all back on. Kent with Ben 32, Hollywood Kent. Okay, so Dakota Raptor also wants a Star Trek rant? Alright. I'm gonna have to turn off my music for this, so give me a second. Because I can't rant while there's cool music playing. Ooh! Look at that! I like that. Nice. Alright, so let's... So this is... Oh, I don't like how they're... I can fix that later. Alright, yeah. Bad. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah. Alright, so what we're gonna have to do though is we're gonna have to go into here. Ah, okay. So, ooh, where are you? Oh yeah, I gotta go to UV. I'm not a huge fan of the division of UV and what's it? The UV versus image editor. Like, is it super necessary to have this division? I don't think so, but what do I know, right? Alright, so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to go to view, no. And this is why, because I would like to have these lines up while I'm doing all my painting, and not just switch between them all the time. So we're gonna come in here, grab this, and have to paint in. What the craziness? Get in. I'm not even using my tablet for this. It's perfectly fine to use them. Careful there, though. Make merge. Alright. Cool. Okay, here's another foot. I have to be careful though. Come on. What? What isn't working? Okay. Oh. No. Smaller brush. Too close. Back up. Back up. Good, good. Oh, why is there... You know what? Alright, fine. Go into paint mode here. Texture paint. Come in. Get up this way. Oh, right, because it's on the legs, too. Snapping. Fine. It'll be fine. Alright, so sorry. Star Trek ran. I got distracted by actual art. Okay, so Star Trek, right? Starts way back in the 60s. Yeah, 60s. I'm just going to say it's 60s. Okay, with this optimistic vision of the future where humanity survived the Cold War, everything's pretty good. There's problems, right? Like there's trouble in paradise here and there, right, with Star Trek. But it's not a terrible place, right? The Star Trek galaxy is a place where if you visit it, you could have a good time and you wouldn't have to be like depressed all the time. Like would happen in say what you call it? The Star Wars galaxy, right? Star Wars galaxy is pretty bleak, right? I mean, there's cool stuff in it, but let's be honest, it's a bleak place. So I don't actually need. All right. And part of that was because humanity had figured its crap out, right? They weren't warring with each other. There was no more racism. There was no more sexism. Oh, okay. In the original Star Trek, there was still a bit of sexism, but it's kind of a product of its time. But like, the whole idea was all of humanity can come together and achieve great things, and violence is our last resort, and we've learned not to go meddling in the affairs of others, like what's happening with all the proxy wars in places like Vietnam and Pakistan and Korea and whatnot. Like, we're just like, nope, we're not gonna do all that crap. The crews, they didn't always agree on everything, but they always were on the same team. They agreed with each other, and they each got their own little, what do you call it? They got their own character episodes in a lot of cases. Now, that was more true in The Next Generation than in the original Star Trek, but it was still a thing. Like, there were episodes where we got to find out more about, like, Chekhov's family, or how Scotty felt about the ship, and, you know, like, we got little character bits. We got a lot of character bits about Spock, and, you know, telling us about what he is up to, and, you know, like, his, the Vulcans, and how being a half-human is, and we get to meet his father, his mother, you know, a lot of stuff established about Spock. McCoy, we have to find, like, his ex-girlfriend, except it's really a salt vampire, not his ex-girlfriend, but whatever. I mean, okay, so that's Trek, right? Optimistic. There's still problems. We get character pieces on everybody, and everyone was working as a team. Okay. And that was the case for all of the Star Trek shows. Basically, it was the case for the original show, the animated show. It was the case for Next Generation. It was the case for Deep Space Nine. It was the case for Voyager. It was even the case for Star Trek Enterprise, right? But then, CBS, after letting the show be basically barren for, what was it, like 20 years? I don't actually know. They come out with Star Trek Discovery. I'm like, okay, I don't know that I super like the look of it because it's supposed to be a prequel, and it definitely doesn't look like a prequel to the original show, but, I guess. Whereas, you know, Star Trek Enterprise, which was a prequel to the original show, actually looked like a prequel to the original show. So, that's one of the reasons I count Enterprise as an actual Star Trek show. But in Discovery, everything is bleak and dark, and it makes me want to just go away and hide in the sand. Like, I would hate to be in the Federation represented in Star Trek Discovery. Everyone is a jerk to everyone else. No one agrees on anything. No one seems to be on the same team. There's backbiting, backstabbing. And yeah, sure, they explain it was like, oh, well, you know, the captain was from the Mirror Universe all along. Okay, sure. But that doesn't make it any less of a bleak show. It feels like I'm watching The Expanse, not Star Trek. And if I wanted to watch The Expanse, I'd watch The Expanse. And sometimes I do want to watch The Expanse. So, yeah. Alright, we need a new image. So, let's see. New image, new. This one can just white. Come on. Good. Saturation down. There we go. So we're gonna call this Wartub. Underscore dot dot underscore. What am I doing? SSS. So we're gonna make the subsurface scattering map, basically. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do on this one is so first we're gonna add it. Add in the Wartub's S. Okay. We're just gonna add over here, and we're gonna add in a input ambient occlusion. Here, we're gonna do color mix RGB. Boom. Apply. And factor up. Okay. Then we're gonna invert this. Boom. Look at that. That looks freaky. But that is sort of what we want. I also don't want. Get it out of here for now. Okay. So this is going to be the start of my subsurface. So the other thing we need to do is we need to darken up this carapace area. I gotta think about this. Yeah, the characters are also sort of terrible in the new Trek. Like, it's just so many choices. And I think my biggest thing is just the tone. Like, no one's excited to be out exploring anymore. Like, no one. Actually, I don't really need this as thing here. I'm actually gonna turn this down. Yeah, this is what. Okay, and then I'm going to, I don't know, I guess I do need it. F. Scattering here, but then, that's what I can do. Go color, RGB. I can just roll it. Yeah. Alright, so then I'm going to actually, I'm going to real quick bake that. And then I will paint onto what I bake. Okay. So we're actually going to change this to this working. We're going to add in a new Wartub SSS. Okay, and then unfortunately we're going to have to bake again. So I can rant while I bake. I mean, it has 8 feet, so yes, it is an octopod. But it's not an octopus. That makes it. Probably doesn't. Okay, so get this out of here. Add in a shader, mission shader. Here. Boom. All right. Now we get to making him. All right. So yeah. Also, I'm not a huge fan of the Star Trek doing the whole long narrative arc thing. I always like the fact that I can just turn on an episode of The Next Generation, and while there are a few like arc plot lines, especially in Deep Space Nine, and a little bit in Voyager too, like I can just watch a random episode of The Next Generation and it's fine. I can just watch watch the whole thing. Oh, TD Lane is back. What up, man? But you can't just turn on an episode of Discovery, right? Like, if I told you, like, oh, hey, just watch Season 2, Episode 4 of Star Trek Discovery, you would have no freaking clue what's going on. Not just because you don't know who all the characters are, but, like, 12 years? A 12-year gap? Okay. That's more than a decade, but I guess it's not decades. Oh, and hey, lady, I don't even know if I acknowledged that you were here, man. Sorry about that. Which, oh, that reminds me. Oh, no, I guess it doesn't remind me. Everything's fine. Yeah, the new Trek, it's just so depressing. And I watched all of Season 1 of Discovery. I watched the first episode of Season 2, and I just stopped. I was like, no, I'm done. I just can't. And as I was watching through the first season of Star Trek Discovery, it just kept getting worse and worse, and I was like, why am I watching this? And another thing is, like, everything that happens in Star Trek Discovery, they have to basically say, oh, it was all just classified, that's why you never heard about it before. And then in Season 2, I guess they jump into the future, because they kept breaking the Star Trek continuity, it kept making no sense. And that annoyed me too. It was like, oh, we're gonna do this series, and don't worry, you're never gonna have heard of anything. The nice thing about Enterprise was it happened long enough before the original Star Trek that you had some creative freedom. Like, why didn't we get to hear about the exact story of first contact between Klingons and humans? Well, it happened like 120 years ago, so they just didn't get into it in the original Star Trek. Which, oh, alright, dude, have fun. So you had that freedom. You could expand things, you know? You'd be like, okay, well, let's actually flesh out this. You could give an explanation. Why do the Klingons in the original Star Trek have smooth foreheads and then the ones in the later episode don't? Which also annoys me, because by explaining that difference in Enterprise, we gave an actual in-universe explanation for the retcon in the appearance of Klingons. But then, Star Trek Discovery goes ahead and retcons them again, with no explanation. Now they're bald monsters with way too much makeup. Oh, and while I do appreciate that Star Trek Discovery had the Klingons actually speak Klingon, they put such gigantic dental prostheses in their mouths that you can't make it out anyway, or you hardly can. They sound like they're talking like this. It's ridiculous. And then, yeah, like, why do Klingons have 4 nostrils now? I don't know. Oh yeah, the Orville is the current Star Trek show that's on, as far as I'm concerned. If you want Star Trek, go watch the Orville. It's obviously lighter-hearted than Star Trek is, but it still takes itself seriously enough. It tackles actual social issues. I mean, they dove headfirst into transgender children on that show, and they did a damn fine job of it. So, yeah. And you can also apply the things that they were talking there to things like, the circumcision debate and other things like that, right? Like, they just dove right into that in like a 2-part series. Or, it wasn't quite 2 parts, but like it had a setup in like the episode before. So yeah, the Orville is definitely where you need to go if you're a fan of the original Star Trek shows. Like, Star Trek shows before that big 12-year gap. If that's your jam, check out the Orville. The comedy might not be to your taste, but I promise there's some actual good sci-fi speculative stuff and stuff about like tackling moral or social problems through the lens of sci-fi, which is traditionally what Star Trek did. Like, there was the episode that was basically about gay rights that was there, and it was the no gender society, and some people were like sexual deviants for showing some kind of gendered behavior, and they were taken in for abusive conversion classes and whatnot. Yeah, that happened in Star Trek in the 90s. So, if that's the kind of thing you want out of your sci-fi, Orville is where to go. If you want bleak, horrible, makes you feel bad stuff, there's plenty of sci-fi about that. I don't know why it has to be Star Trek. Oh, and the other thing is, at least in Discovery, and to some extent also in Picard, we never got the character episodes. Like, in Star Trek The Next Generation, there'd be a Worf episode, or a Geordi episode, or a Dr. Crusher episode.
Like, there's the episode where Dr. Crusher goes back to her family home to take care of her grandmother's affairs, and she starts a love affair with a ghost. It turns out not to be a ghost because it's Star Trek. Like, we get that one. We get the episode where we find out that Picard has an artificial heart because he was too brash and impulsive as a young cadet. But then it turns out he wasn't too brash and impulsive because that was actually an important part of his personality. That's what helped him get as far as he did in Starfleet. We get an episode, we have several episodes about Worf where he has to go on spiritual journeys and reconnect with the various beliefs of his people. And also in some places, in Deep Space Nine at least, where we find out that Worf he's actually gone so hard into the serious warrior honor stuff that he's lost all the fun of being Klingon, and he has to be reminded by his brother and other Klingons that, like, hey, no, we also do stuff like we have parties and drink and tell jokes and, arm wrestle and have fun. Like, that's another big part of being Klingon. You can't just skip that out and be a dour asshole the whole time. And Worf is like, wait, really? Like, yeah, not everything is doom and gloom when you're a Klingon. You're supposed to have fun. And, so we get all these character episodes. We get, like, one character episode on Saru, the giant giraffe man. Well, he's really more like a horseman. I don't know, whatever. He's an alien, he's on the show. Like, that's it. I didn't even know the names of most of the characters. Like, I knew the name of the captain, I knew Saru, I knew Michael Burnham, the main character lady. I don't remember the name of her boyfriend. I remember the name of one of the Klingons, and it's because it was simple. It's Volk. Which, by the way, means trust. The verb to trust in Klingon. Here. But yeah, there's like the cyborg lady on the bridge. Then there's the other then there's a lady that's not a cyborg and she's on the bridge. And then there's the guy at the comms panel. Like, none of these guys get explored at all until, like, they die. Yeah. And actually, yeah, a Gattaca show could be interesting. So lady points that out. Gattaca was hopeful but depressing, and I liked the message that, like, your genetics aren't quite destiny, right? Like, and yeah, actually, I believe there is a company making an adaptation of Brave New World, which will be interesting. One of the things that I didn't like about Brave New World is that I didn't get a sense of what the universe looked like. Like, what do these primitive reserves actually seem like? Are they like, cave people banging rocks together and having actual babies through normal human sex? Which was the thing that apparently made them primitive, was that they actually reproduced the old-fashioned way. And then what did the other areas look like? Like, were they actually utopias? Were they decaying and falling apart? What did it actually look like to be in, like, the different, like... I think they gave them Greek letters. Like, there were the alphas, the betas, the deltas, and the gammas. Like, what does that actually look like? Like, what's the daily life of the gamma like? I don't know. So yeah, I think that would be an interesting thing, but I think you'd have to do a lot of work. Make that into a universe that actually feels lived in and real, and, like, people actually existing. But yeah, I am interested. And yeah, the point of Gattaca was that, like... Actually, the point of Gattaca and Brave New World were both that, like, hey, we can solve a lot of the world's problems with genetic engineering and whatnot, but on the other hand, it could also be used for some pretty dark stuff. And maybe we don't want that to be, our total experience with genetic engineering. Oh, wait, yeah. Gotta actually grab... Alright. To make it so this is actually a lot less. So the shell is going to have a lot less subsurface scattering. Basically what I'm saying. This is going to determine how much, like, light shines through the mesh. Like, if you put your hand in front of the sun, right, you can see like the red blood, and you can even sometimes see if it's a really bright day, you can see, like, the shadow left by your bones. That's subsurface scattering. We're gonna we're going to make this guy have some of that. But we want the carapace to be significantly less scattered. Because, for one thing, it shouldn't have as much blood, because it's just a bunch of, like, dead... Well, not all dead, but it's primarily dead keratin. Which means it shouldn't have a whole lot of subsurface scattering. But, it also means that... the colors will show up better. The subsurface scattering will show the color of, like, the underlying tissues and whatnot. And in this case, it's going to be bluish. It has hemocyanin, not hemoglobin. Hello? So yeah, I don't know, Star Trek, man. I like Star Trek. I just wish it would do better. Make shows that people who like Star Trek want to watch, not that like your bro from the frat house wants to watch. No offense to, you know, bros in frat houses. I don't actually mean that literally, because I know a lot of bros who've been in frat houses who are great guys, so, you know what I mean. Just talking to that unfair stereotype that exists no matter whether it's fair or not. Yeah. People in that demographic are not the people who are going to start turning in droves to Star Trek, I promise. That's not how it's going to work. Alright, so this is our subsurface scattering map. Awesome. Okay, so... any of this. That. This. Now, I will plug this into subsurface scattering. Alright, but that's too much subsurface scattering. So what we need to do is we need to turn it down a little bit. What I'm going to do is add in a converter, math. Also going to make sure this is on right. So we're going to set this to multiply. Actually, we're going to set it to divide. That'll be. Alright, so I'm going to divide it so that it's. So basically, if I go really high, there's no subsurface scattering. We're going to turn it. There's a little bit of subsurface scattering. Awesome. Okay, now let's save that, and I'm going to save this too. Let's see. So give me a second. I'll be right back.
I want to take a moment to talk about something serious. There is a problem facing late surviving non-avian dinosaurs in modern America. Hunting is very strictly regulated, and only allowed at certain times of the year. This means that for much of the year we have to rely on farm-raised food, which means money. If you want to help a starving dinosaur, please consider donating on Patreon, or buying from my merch store. Links are in the description. Please help. Dinosaurs all over YouTube are depending on you to help them through the hunting off-season.
Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Didn't go through the whole intermission though. So, yeah. Here we go. Oh. Alright, guys. Here we go. Everything's back as it should be. Hey, Ben. Glad you're here. Keep those slides of screening, man. Important. Very important. Alright, so next we're going to do a map that I don't always do. Actually, first I'm going to put in some. I'm going to do it just pretty lazy. We're going to grab a Mono texture. Object. Up the scale a bit. White up. Vector. Up. Here. Right. Go in. Take a look at how strong that is, because it's way too strong. It's actually still. Yeah, I like that. That breaks it up nice. Okay. Oh, you know, I forgot to make these things gray. Alright, well, that's not good. So, go on to texture paint. What am I doing? Okay, here we go. Okay, so we'll make this that color right there is pretty good. Alright. I thought these guys had to be gray. Alright, now, where is that section? Here they are. Alright, so go in here, paint, and so the reason there's this line here, because of this, because I have this on a subdivided mesh, likes to leave behind little funny bit. They show up on. As I do this, you should see that go away. Yeah, see that? Awesome. Okay, so that's what it should be. Hey. Alright, so now I need to get this color here. We'll see. Do a new image. It's going to be that color. I'm going to call this floor tub subdermal. Okay. I'm going to add in that. subdermal. Okay. And this is going to go into the subsurface color, right? So the idea here is if I go to texture paint, right? Bring this up a little bit and get a really deep blue. So I can draw like a vein under the surface. Here, both of these guys, I can do stuff like that. And it will show up. Now we might need to up the subsurface scattering a bit for that. So we'll take a look at it. Whoa. So, I mean, it'll be good. Like you can actually see at different angles. There's like a difference to the whatever that is. I'm actually gonna erase that. So we're gonna make this be what I can actually see. Okay. Actually, it's not looking very good, is it? I'll add in a. Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll just make this the base color for now. There we go. That'll work. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna draw in some veins. No, not working. Let's add in a shader, panel diffuse shader here. There it is. All right. I don't actually like that vein though. I'm gonna undo. Get out of here. Get out of here. Forgot how to draw veins for a second. Alright, so I want to start with a heavy brush and trail off. Start with a heavy brush. Trail off. That's weird. And one thing is, you don't have to be super neat if you're doing something like this, the subdermal mask, because it's not actually going to show up very much. It's just going to be a subtle effect that's kind of in the background. Oh, hey, Lord Leviathans. What up, man? I'm just here making veins, making arteries, making subdermal things. I don't even know if it's really accurate for this guy to have such things. But you know what? We're gonna do it anyway, because I wanna. It's fun. I mean, okay, yeah, we started almost 2 hours ago, but like, whatever. I'm just gonna keep going with this thing, right? Like, I'm not about to stop. Because this is my project for a big part of today until Kent McBent goes. So let's take a look at how that would actually look again. So we'll put this back in subsurface, back in here. Set this divide number to an actual good number. So we'll set 6, and then we can check back in here, and like it's not a big thing. It doesn't do a lot, but actually let's put this on here, and I'm going to see how the actual subsurface is looking. Since I'm going to render in cycles, I should really base how much subsurface there is based on cycles. Let's put a it's actually not very much subsurface. So one of the things is that subsurface factors do not translate well between cycles, and EV likes to go way overboard compared to cycles on subsurface scattering. I don't understand why it's not. Those two. Actually, I might even want more because this is a very small creature. So, although I'm going to scale it down, so I'll just turn it down for now. That's too much. So let's go with 0.75. How that does. Yeah, that might work. And also now you're going to be able to subtly see how this works. So one of the problems with subsurface scattering, right, is it's very scale dependent. And Blender actually uses real world values for its scale. So you have to actually change subsurface scattering amounts when you scale things up and down. Because what looks good at this scale is not going to look good when I actually make this creature 5 centimeters long. So, but yeah, now you can see that there's that subtle outline of these, right? Veins. There might be some on this side too. Yeah, you can just make out the veins. Okay. So we'll go back to Eevee, and if you go to Eevee, yeah, see, like, I do not like the way it handles subsurface. Like, not much at all. But Hollywood Kent, every day ends in a Tongues festival. That's true. Primordial form of phrases. See, I don't actually watch enough anime to know if that's accurate. I watch enough anime, or I'm aware enough of anime to know that that's an anime reference. So if I'm being honest, my main thing, with why you not let me draw? Let me draw. Look at me. So why am I not able to draw? Oh, it's because it wasn't active. Is that what it is? Oh. Okay, I guess I can do it now. Oh, that reminds me. Check this out. So I'll let you guys in on the context for this, right? Let me just find it real. Let's double check my. Okay, so I got this this image sent to me. So I'll just tab. Here we go. So this guy right here was like, do not ever arrange to meet someone IRL who's from Arizona, and I happen to live in Arizona. So then someone says they could be a cactus, or they could be a human from Arizona. Sounds like something a cactus disguised as a human would say. Hashtag stay woke. So I sent this to someone, and they said, oh yeah, you might be green and spiky. So I made a green and spiky Dapper Dino. Yep. Yeah, basically, it's Cactus Dino. So I might actually use this version of me on a video just with no context. So like, if you guys, like the guys who aren't watching this, you're the only guys who are gonna know why I'm green and spiky. Yeah. It's pretty easy too. So the way I did this was so go to shader editor. Make sure I'm actually on Dapper Dino. On body material. Okay, so first I just added this hue saturation value thing, and I changed the hue to 0.74, which changed me to green. Right. It also made the purple. Joshua Blitzer. Sorry. So I changed me to green, right? And then the only other thing I had to do was add a hair particle system. Make sure it's on the bottom of the stack. That bottom of the stack. Anyway, make sure that the hair system uses the modifier stack. And then I threw on 1,000 hairs, so there's 1,000 spikes there. You know, adjusted the hair length. I actually shouldn't have it at 5 segments, but it doesn't matter right now. And then I made sure that the radius root was where I wanted it, and the radius tip was where I wanted, where it looked good. And there you go, done. I didn't do anything else, and that lets me get a spiky Dapper Dino. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. Okay, maybe it's okay. So there you go. All right, back to the actual painting here. Let's get another little set of veins coming through here. Dropped off fast, boy. Okay. Let's get a couple. Let's get something that looks a little. Oh, you know what? There's not much texture space there, so I'm just going to leave that alone. I forgot how small of an area that took up on the actual image. One of the things you remember is that, always try to keep this space on your model as close to the amount of area, like on the area of any given part of your model, as close to the area on the texture map as you can. But like, it's never going to be perfect, right? It's always going to be off some. So, Joshua, this is a creature called a lore tub, which I can bring. Oh, that's not it. Bring up here. This is for my speculative evolution project that I do on my main channel, which is Dapper Dino, which should be linked in the description or on my channel page or something. I don't know. Feel free to check that out over there. So the speculative evolution project, as I'm not sure if you know, is basically the community is giving me what things are going to be evolving into in different stages, and then once I finish up accepting or denying and then creating images for all these creatures, I can step the timeline of the world up. So phase 1 was mostly stuff that I had made and that a few of my friends had made. We had, I think, 9 creatures or something in it, and then we did a 10 million year jump. And I said, all right, now anyone can just submit their own creatures, you know, let me know what you come up with, what do you want to see? And so, yeah. This is one of the creatures that I received as a phase 2 entry. Which, oddly enough, this one is actually not based on a creature that any of my like IRL personal friends. Let's say IRL, but then like that's a given isn't an IRL friend. So I guess I'll go with the friends who are people that I talk to outside of the context of Dapper Dino, because Erica is in that group. She's in the group of people who've done things like see my face. T Lane is too. Not a huge group of people. It exists. Okay, let's get a message. So, yeah, I hope that helps. This guy lives in tide pools, and he will scrap some food to eat, and I'll bet he gets eaten sometimes by water hoppers, or another organism that lives in the tide pools. Which actually means that the image of this guy may well include a water hopper. I think that... is that enough? Do I want more? I don't know. See how it looks. Oh, you're Cherry from the Spec Evolution project. Okay, yeah. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I didn't make the connection. Sorry about that. My bad on that. I actually, now that I think about it, you have a very similar looking profile picture here. Yeah, so it's when people have different names in different places, which I mean, it's perfectly fine for me to do, but it makes it a little tough sometimes for me to keep track of who's So yeah, sorry about that. All right, so now we need to actually check out this guy to scale, right? We need to see what the scale is going to be like. So get out of this. So here's how I like to do scale checking, right? I go over to my, is it the world or is it the, yes, units. I change units, imperial, right? Not imperial, sorry, metric. Metric. I'm going to change this to centimeters. Okay. Then I'm going to add in a cube. And put it back in the middle here. Okay, so then I'm going to go back to student. I'm going to give you a color. Viewport display, your color is going to be this. Viewport display. So at least now they look like something. All right, so then I go to item, dimensions, and I look up my dimensions as to what they're supposed to be, which should be here. Okay, so put that over here on my other screen. So the length is 5. So our y is going to be 5 centimeters. The height is 1.9. 1.9. And then our width is 2.5. So this guy has to fit inside that tiny little cube. That's how big he really is. So we're going to do this back here. Also going to up so that it's just in line with the door. Okay. So our big guy here needs to be that small. And this will be what lets me actually get alright, so it's a little bit short. Actually just scale him up on the z-axis. Okay. From down on the x-axis. Scale him up a little bit on the y-axis. That way his dimensions will actually match. Alright, so that's how big our boy is. Which might be able to tell us kind of tiny. Little boy there. He's also a little bit more vertical than I thought, which is fine. It makes the eyes a little bit off from round, but I'm okay with that too. Okay, so how do we make it so that we can see this guy in our report? That's going to be tricky. So let's get the camera. Oh, right, I hit the camera. All right, so I'm gonna get down here. Then we're gonna have to zoom. So zooming on it. There we go. So now I'm not actually gonna be leaving him at this size. What I am gonna be doing though is writing down the scale. I can repeat. But we need him to be this size so that when I check here for rendered view, I can adjust how much subsurface scattering there is so that it, again, looks... Right now, it's probably not going to be right. So, I'm just going to go over to here and set viewport limit to 0. So, yeah, because he looks funny. So we're gonna see what we can set this to 1. I do also notice that the so if you look at the dimensions given in the description and you compare them to the actual sketch, that sketch couldn't fit in those dimensions. So I do notice that. Also, the spikes that I was given in the original image kind of change size a little bit between different versions of the image. So $70 a year for Office. Screw off, Microsoft. Just no. No one needs your crap that much. Just get out of here. Okay, so we need a little bit more. So get a little bit more subsurface. We want to be able to see just barely these veins. Like 0.75 might actually have been correct. That might actually be a number that works. The tricky thing is, though, you have to let it render for a while to see how good the subsurface scattering is. Because subsurface scattering takes freaking forever. TD Lane, look, there are free Office alternatives that will allow you to save files as Microsoft Office file types. Check online. Do not pay for Office. Office is worth it. Don't get it. Like literally, there are options that will let you save things as like DOC or .docx or whatever. Yeah, no, the subscription is the new big thing for big software. Like all of the good 3D modeling, like sculpting stuff, like first party dedicated sculpting tools and painting tools. Yeah, they're licenses now. You can pay astronomical amounts for a perpetual license, but like, I can't afford that. So, actually, we might even want to go a little bit lower. I'm not seeing much of the veininess. So, yeah. Oh wait, because low number is high. So, is that it? So it's gonna darken it if I go up. 9.5. Sorry, I had to do stupid math in my head, and it's like 4D math, so forgive me. Math is stupid. Wait. Oh, that's not one. Okay. Why? This is the wrong map. Why is this a... Give me a second. I have to go browse through my... Well, that's great. Sorry about that. Yeah, so the subsurface scattering map didn't actually get saved because I apparently am some kind of dummy. So that's fun. I also did this by accident, so yeah, we're gonna have to do that all over again. Not something I was hoping to do, but gonna do, right? That's just great. Yeah. So now I can't actually check how it looks. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm gonna go. Oh, should I just keep going? You guys want to sit through that again? Like, let me know. If you want to sit through that again? I'll make you sit through it again. If you want to do something else, let me know. I'll probably, if you don't want to sit through it, what I'll probably do is just start another stream after I've sorted all of that out and saved everything out and all that stuff. Because, yeah, this is... Wait. Why is that still here? Okay, hold on. Give me a second, I have to browse through my computer. Maybe it's actually still... Oh, okay. Portub SS. There. Be able to... Oh. Where did it get saved to? Sorry guys, I just hiding my... I don't know why it wasn't open. We're back. Back now. I guess it was there? I don't even know anymore. We'll put this in subsurface mount. Here. Save it. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I don't even know what's happening. Go into subsurface color. I'm gonna range this up to actually make here. I don't need you. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. Do not know what happened there. So zoom in. Whoop. Okay. Now let's go here, and this should actually be working. Oh, that's actually a fairly high amount of scatter there. Alright, so let's here we're gonna take a actual test render. So first I want to set up a little bit of depth of field for the test render. So depth of field. Oof, that's a lot of depth. So we're gonna bring this up to like 3.5. Oh, even that is minuscule. See these? Yeah. All right, so let's go with 4.5. All right, I'm gonna add in a empty arrows. Call this thing focal length. I am surviving the horribleness of the virus so far. I'm actually fairly susceptible to what do you call them? Respiratory diseases. So it's not terrific. Say that. Now, do I want to put an aperture? It's so freaking tiny. 5.8. She's like basically like a pinhole camera. It is ridiculous. All right, get away with no depth of field. We're gonna go no depth of field for this test render, but we're just gonna have to do. So, all right, save it before it renders because you never know when a render is gonna crash your computer. Split. Why? Why is like this? Oh, because the cube is there. Gosh darn cube. Alright. We're gonna not that. This is back to time. Like having a timeline down there. It's an emotional thing. So we're gonna turn the cube back on. We're just gonna hide it down here. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, a lot of times in Blender, you just start something and you're like, what? Why? And then you realize it's because you're an idiot. So, oh goodness. How about you, TD Lane? How you been? Not TD Lane, I'm sorry. Unidentified Leviathan. If I remember correctly, where you are, things are going pretty well. Well, the virus originated in China. I don't think anyone physically sat down and made it. Sorry. But yeah, so it's actually not not super hard to tell if a virus was created in a laboratory. I mean, there are ways to do it and have it not be completely obvious, but one of the things is, oh, okay, this is actually a good question. I'll get to that Lord of Leviathans right after. So, let's see. China did make virus. So, if you have a virus that naturally evolved, right, and you compare the things like its eclipse time, its rupture time, things like that, basically getting like time scales for like generation times on the viruses, you compare it to closely related viruses, you can then get a mutation rate if you have viruses of a known mutation rate, right? And if the mutation rate is insufficient to account for the genetic difference between those viruses, then something funny's going on, which could mean genetic engineering in a lab, right? But that does not appear to be the case with SARS-CoV-2. It is completely in line with what we would expect based on close relatives, which are basically other coronaviruses, especially in bats, which is where it almost certainly originated. Although now the current hypothesis is it may have originated in bats, but it might have jumped to pangolins before it jumped. So now you might ask, how do people come in contact with pangolins? Well, as it turns out, pangolins are a popular dish in some parts of Asia. So yeah, that's how that happened. Are these veins even showing up? Did I do all that work for nothing? Basically. Oh well. And then Lord of the Leviathans asks why Blender takes so long. So Blender takes so long if you're on the render engine that I'm using. Now the render engine that I'm using is doing a simulation of photons bouncing off of things and back into the camera that is actually physically accurate. Video game engines generally do not use physically accurate light models. So this has an upside and a downside. The upside is that if you get everything right on a cycles render, because this is called Blender Cycles, it's Render Engineer. If you get everything right, you get your scale right, you get your textures right, you get your materials right, all that, right? Blender can output photorealistic results. You literally can't tell unless you like recognize some of the assets whether or not it's real life or a CGI image. However, that means it takes time. So like this thing is probably going to end up being like a 9-minute render. Video game engines, by skipping being actually photorealistic and cheating everything, can result in images that, if you know what you're looking for, they're not going to be photorealistic. But if you're, running through the game, it'll be fine. So where video games tend to be pretty bad is multiple lighting sources casting multiple shadows. Video games are terrible at that. They're also not great at reflections. They usually use screen space reflections, which get you weird artifacts. One obvious artifact that you can notice with screen space reflections is if you ever played the game Ark Survival Evolved, you'll notice that the water reflects your weapon even if you're far away from the water, and that's because the water uses screen space reflection, which basically means it bases its reflections based on the pixels that are already on screen before it does the reflection. Since your weapon is being held up on screen, it has no way to know not to reflect your weapon because it doesn't know that the weapon is closer to you. Now, you can try to fix this by adding in information from the Z buffer, which is telling you how far away from the display camera various objects are. But when you do that, you would then need to fill in missing data near the things that are really close on the Z buffer, which would be close to black. And there isn't a great way to do that without doing a second render pass that is a full render pass without the weapon. And that would basically almost double the time it takes for each frame to render. So obviously games tend not to do that because that's a big pain. So that's some of the reasons why like photorealistic results take a lot of time, whereas high quality game engines not. Although there is actually a version or there's another render engine in here that does do the game render type thing, and we can see. I'll show you the difference. So we'll put this in slot 1. So I'm mostly liking this. They're not going to be this big. It also means that I mostly wasted my time with a subdermal map, but whatever. I was mostly practicing because later on I'm going to start to scale character models and stuff, because we got D&D coming up. Not exactly sure when, but we're working on it. So I'm going to go to slot 2 and change the render engine from cycles to E. And hit render. And yep. So Eevee took less than a second to come up with this. But it's not nearly as realistic as this. So this one has a much better definition on the shadow, although maybe changing how defined that shadow is anyway. But you also get like light bounce back. And then in Eevee, you get this, which is it's okay. It's fine. It's, fine. But yeah, Florida has had 6-10 days of 10,000 new cases of COVID-19 a day. It is. Look, I don't even know what to say about it. Like, honestly, what are you guys doing out there? I just do not. I got nothing for you. I'm sorry. So we're gonna add in a math node. We're gonna go to multiply everything by 0.5, and we're gonna give it a. So let's give it a second Eevee render and see what happens there. That takes less than a second. So okay, that's going down. Let's multiply it by 2. Yeah. Ooh, look at that. It's even more subsurfacey. So with small things, having extra subsurface makes them look smaller. So when creating organisms, how do you come up with the height, weight, length? So for me, I think about like what niche they're in and what I want them to look at. And then when I'm creating them, I usually make the model first. And I have a rough scale that I'm looking for. And so I'll scale them relative to something I already know the size of. So, what's up, dude? I just realized, why is it so quiet? I never turned my music back on. I went to Florida for New Year's and noticed that most places are super crowded and no one has any sense of their surroundings. Yeah. Free Office's word alternative has a dark theme. Ooh, that's nice. And yeah, they were all really inconsiderate of other. I mean, Florida, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of Florida. I do not like Florida. I'm also going to get rid of this lamp. I don't like this lamp. Get out of here, lamp. Let's go to orphan data. No, stay in there. Orphan data. Lights. Get out of here. Get out of here. Alright. Every once in a while, get rid of your orphan data. If you don't need it. I mean, if you actually are going to need it, keep it. But, unidentified Leviathan, for the most part, it's not the end of the world. It can be. It probably would be for me. Honestly. No, okay, not probably. But my chances of having it be fatal are closer to 10% as opposed to most people where it's like 1 to 2%. Alright, so let's change it to cycles. Go back to the image editor. Oh, orphan data. Okay, so in Blender, everything has a dependency tree, right? So if I take a look at this lore tub, right? So this material is parented to lore tub. Now I can parent it to other objects too, but it has a parent and it's lore tub. And then say this texture is parented to this material. So if you have data like images or meshes or anything else, right? That isn't actually attached to anything. It's an orphan because it's not actually attached to anything that's actually in the scene. So it's called an orphan because it has no parent objects. So what that basically means is if it's hanging around in your Blender file, it's useless bytes once you have it finalized. Now sometimes you end up with orphan data just because you've deleted whatever thing it was being used for, but you plan to use the data again. So like at some point I'm going to do like a few more bakes on this creature. I'm going to get like a what do you call it? A normal map on it. I'm actually going to bake the bump map too, so that way they'll deform correctly, and also so I don't have to render out this high poly version of this model, and also so I can animate it properly. Is it true that the U.S. keeps all their Abrams tanks in Arizona? I do not know. I know that not far from me there is a large base with a lot of tanks, though. So, let's see. Joshua Blitzer says, I draw sketches rather than do models. Not very good sketches. I mean, I really like the art you made for me, so I have no idea how to do models anyway, and don't have time to learn at the moment. So, learning how to do it in the first place actually doesn't take up a lot of time. Getting to the point where you can do it easily without it being a gigantic headache, it takes a while longer. Oh, Dessel Trace, what up, man? I'm gonna start the presentation all over again? Sorry, man. Not likely to happen. Alright, so I think I like this. Yeah, we got the veins just showing up. Like, they're hard to see, but in certain areas you get a sense of them. Yeah, alright. That works for me. I don't have a notification. Oh! Dessel Trace subscribed. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Let's see. I took one CAD class. It's not that hard. It just takes tons of practice. Yeah, that's the things. Tons of tools and ways to change the model to exactly what you want, depending on the program. Actually, let's see. It's not here for a second. Actually, give me a second. I'll show you one of the things I did really quickly in Blender. So I'm still here, but I'm just opening up a file, and I don't need to give everyone a look at my my hard drive. So, Oh, come on. Stop not responding. Let's see. Open. Under B. There we go. Alright. So, back on. Here we go. Free viewport. So this is a hide that. So this is a mock-up, very rough mock-up, right, of a room that a friend of mine has as her office, and she wanted to know different ways that she could arrange the furniture while leaving all of it in there, right? It's a very small space. So I got the dimensions of the desk, the couch, and the bookshelves, right? And I entered them in exactly, and she gave them to me Imperial. So I just made sure to switch my units here to Imperial. To feet, because she was giving it in feet and inches. Yeah, and then there's a little room in here, and I gave it some materials so that I could render out images that actually looked halfway decent, and also can rotate the door to open it and close it. So we had to do that to make sure that the place we were putting the desk wasn't going to clip the door. Because the desk is too far down on the y-axis here, too far to the right if you're facing the desk, it'll clip the door. So we wanted to have the couch able to be sat on and used, the bookcases be the only thing you could see from her webcam, and the desk not hit the door. So this is the arrangement that we found worked out. Although she is also interested in doing a few more like layouts, so I might have a call with her later on. I'm not even sure if it's going to be today. But yeah, once you have it all measured out, I mean, this is exactly where her window is, exactly where her door is, exactly how big everything is. So, yep. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, and here we are. I mean, you can measure a drawing. I don't know how useful that would be. Alright, so we're going to do one other thing, which is we're going to turn on ambient occlusion. If I can remember where to freaking click for that. There we go. So, actually, a fair while ago, like, I think more than a year ago, Blender 2.8 was released, and when I switched over to it, it was a big change in terms of UI, like, huge. So I'm still not entirely used to it, because I was using Blender for like 8 years with the old UI. So the difference here is we're going to go to Compositor, Use Nodes, we're going to go to Color, Mix, Boom. We're going to add in AO under Multiply, turn it down a little bit. Then we're going to add in, let's see, a distort, lens distortion. We can go with 0.02 and 0.02 bit. Alright, so let's get another render on here real quick. So that's just setting up my render preset so I don't have to do it later. So ambient occlusion is actually cheating. So I figure I'll explain ambient occlusion because it's weird, right? So what ambient occlusion is, it's basically cheating lighting. If you light something with just ambient occlusion, you'll get a sense of the shape and size and where shadows would normally fall. It basically is a simulation of a really cloudy day, to some extent. So what ambient occlusion does is for every point on a model that you're going to be rendering, the computer will check to see what percentage of photon paths hit another object before they reach infinity. And there's a predefined distance that just counts as infinity. Like if the photon goes this far, it counts as having left the world, basically. And so when things are close together, when two surfaces are close together, most of the photons that are scattered off of that object don't hit infinity. So that proportion gets turned into a number from 100% to 0. It's usually normalized 0 to 1. But then that gets fed into a black and white image where pixels are on a black and white image can be defined from 0 to 1, or you can set them to 0 to 255, right? So that gets normalized across whichever version of that number scale that your computer is using. And then that black and white image can then be fed into image processing to help you give different effects. And so usually what it does is it just darkens down crevices and cracks and shadows and whatnot. So by doing that, I'll actually show you the output of the ambient occlusion. One thing is it does slow down the render because the computer has to do this calculation. But it can also add in, and it's not super realistic, but it adds in a big sense of depth. It makes things pop out from the background. It makes everything just look a little bit more like it has a 3D effect. And the thing is, in the real world, there are phenomena that actually replicate some amount of ambient occlusion. So, like, dirt tends to settle into areas that ambient occlusion would darken. So if you have a big scene where things are kind of dusty and dirty, adding in some dust effects on top of some ambient occlusion can really help sell that. Without you having to go in and actually make dirt maps for everything. So yeah, it's like your ex-girlfriend. Yeah. Happy to bring back memories. I imagine they're probably not great memories. What was I mentioning in a tweet? Oh, horror movie. I don't want to see. Her legs were vestigial. Her particular niche led her ultimately to slither around, mostly using a kind of mucus material like a slime. Oh, so here's something interesting. So, all gastropods, which are snails and slugs, which, by the way, slugs do not form a monophyletic group. They're just a variety of snails from various other lineages that have lost their shell. But anyway, all gastropods undergo embryologically something called torsion, where basically part of their body twists 90 degrees. That's why snails don't really seem to have a lot of symmetry like you would expect for most bilaterians. But which way they twist, whether it be clockwise or anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, depending what part of the world you're from, actually is controlled by a single gene. And that gene can have alleles that flip the direction of torsion. But the thing is, gastropods have to mate side to side because, basically, their sex organs are on one side. So if the torsion direction is flipped because of a mutation, that mutation essentially creates a new species because it cannot mechanically breed back with the parent population. So many places you actually get two very closely related species that occasionally actually do get to interchange some genetics when a new mutation happens in one of their offspring that flips the torsion direction because it now joins the other species, essentially. So snails and slugs can sometimes sort of break our breeding pool definition of species, because sometimes if you go with the breeding pool definition, you'll have two essentially identical species of snail or slug in the same area, but sometimes members of one species will simply produce members of the other species by the breeding pool definition of species. So it's kind of wild. Yeah, gastropods are a very strange. Oh, now you know. almost done. All right, so let's take a look at the ambient occlusion. So this is the ambient occlusion map. So this is just taking into account basically what percentage of photons manage to escape the outside world. So it gets you this nice black and white. So what I do is take this image and I multiply every pixel by the value in the ambient occlusion. So 1 gets to 1, 0 just turns back into black, and that darkens the image, which gives me this image, right? And then this factor is a factor that I put over on top of the ambient occlusion to see how dark it is. So if down to 0, it has no effect. At 5, it's half effect. Well, all the way up to 1. Actually, I like it kind of heavy on it. I'll leave it maybe. And then this just gives me lens distortion. There you go. The floor tub with some ambient occlusion. Let's see. Soldier Race, you dated your slug girlfriend because you love everyone? I mean, fair enough. Alright, so let's see. What is next? Next is probably the normal map. So we will go back to our 3D. This is one of the changes. It used to be that these buttons change which kind of window this is, always were on the bottom. And now they just seem to just zoom around to various places, and I hate it. It means that I always look at the bottom for this to go to whatever I want, but sometimes it's up at the top here. And see, now it's down at the bottom. Image editor, up at the top. 3D viewport, down at the bottom. Freaking why? Whatever. It's fine, doesn't it? Look, this is top hats off, man. This is for random nonsense. Top hats off is... this is where I put my dramatic readings of Dracula. Literally, I've got 3 chapters of Dracula on this channel. I'm gonna do one more, and then, Manya, Golden Unicorn, she's gonna be doing a few. And then we've got, I don't know what name she goes by on YouTube, so I'm not gonna go there. But we have another person who's going to do a few more chapters, and then Unholy Roast is going to do a few more. And I'll do another one. I might actually get Beethoven to do 1 chapter. And yeah, we're going to have all of Dracula up as an audiobook, put it on a playlist. Yeah. So. Alright, so the next thing I need to do, though, is what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate. We're gonna go 3D out of texture paint object mode. Here we go. So you need to get, so this eyeball needs to shift a little bit. It's not quite sitting where I need it to. Shift it here, and that's just a result of weird scaling. All right, go here. So I'm gonna duplicate these guys. First, we're going to name this Portub Scale Eyes Scale. All right, there we go. So I'm literally just keeping these guys here so that I know what size to. So I'm gonna object here scale. So hotkey for that. So then put this, that, this, put this in a new collection. It's going to be called Scene Utility. And I have collections for that, for stuff that I want in the scene for reference or whatever, but for stuff I don't want to be in the reference. So this, scene utility. This guy, scene utility. This guy, scene utility. This guy, random arrows and whatnot. Scene utility. I don't need any of you. Okay. And HM, it's coming along pretty well. We got some test renders in. We talked about how CGI works from like a software standpoint, how it's simulating light. We talked about what ambient occlusion is. You know, how does all of this work, kind of thing. All right, so now I'm going to set this guy down to 2. Okay, because this is what I actually want to work with in the actual render. Because, well, there's frankly way too much detail. So what I need to do is go to shader editor. Need to not paint, view. Okay. So this is going to be called floor tub norm. This is going to be a normal map. Okay. So what I'm going to do is we are going to go back to here, go normal. We're going to set it to select active, fake from multi-res. That's what I need. Okay, and then we're going to add in floor tub norm. Go. Then we're going to bake. Unfortunately, that takes a while. I'm also going to set this back down to 8. Bake. Oh, apparently that didn't take very long. That was extremely fast. Okay, cool. I'll take it. So we're going to add in a vector normal map. Boom. This in here. This in here. And figure out why I can't change this to non-color. Second, guys. Sorry, I'm gonna go dark. Don't need alpha. 16-bit color depth. And that. Oh, there we go. Why you do this to me, or not? Why you do this? You like this when I go in here? Yep. Let's get it back to sRGB. What in the heck? Why is it? Something's going weird. All right. But UV map here. Why is it doing this? Happy line. Okay. Not. Just gonna reopen the file. Okay. Nope, that works. That works. They all have the same layout. Why is this one being weird? Like, Double check. Yep, that's the same layout. Smaller? Is that the problem? It is smaller. Maybe that is the problem. Alright, we'll just try that again, and we'll just make... I don't know why. So, this times 2. It's the only difference between these things. No alpha channel. Okay, untitled. Titled. Make the normal map again. Okay. I guess now it works. I've never had that happen to me before. That looks like a bug to me, but whatever. It's working now, so I'll just take plug it into the normal here. And then, hey look. Hey look, all my definition is back, and it'll render faster. So like, let's say we take a look. Okay, so this will allow me to use way fewer actual polygons, so it'll be a lot faster, hopefully. So we'll go back to alright, so oh right, I forgot. Darn it. So the other ones took about 9.5 minutes, right? So if I turn back on scene utility and I hit render, this should go faster. Why is it so dark? Oh, that's not the same object. Oh, I got this giant guy here. Give me a second, I'm sorry. Okay, so this guy, we'll put him in a collection called Lorto, and we're just gonna turn it off. No Lorto. Alright. And then this guy, we're gonna bring him down to 2. Okay, so now this should actually render like I want it to. There it is, yeah. So hopefully this will take a little bit less time. It might not, but it will at least be easier for my computer to calculate when I'm doing things like posing it. Oh, hey, just a walking fish. What up, man? You're not very optimistic about the future of the 21st century? I mean, look, for the first time in nearly a century, this is not the best year to be a human. That has not happened in over a century, basically. Or, no, about a century. So, it might be the best year to be a human again in 5-10 years. And I base that on things like childhood mortality rates, starvation rates, overall world life expectancy, overall world lifespan, average annual income in the world. This is the first time that any of that stuff has seen like any significant drop in about a century. So now it's always the case that it's been better, it's been worse in some places than it was in previous years. But if you look at the world as a whole, it has been the best year to be alive as a human for decades. Every year has been the best year in history to be a human. For a century. Now, like I said, obviously there are places that went downhill locally. So, I don't see that as a thing that's going to be permanently gone this century. It might get a lot crappier where you are, which doesn't really help. Like, what good does that do you? And I get that. But I do think it's important to remember that, as a whole, things have been getting better for a very long time. And yeah, you guys, you want to check out Random Evo Times? He is a youngster who's got some pretty cool short form content. He's got some speculative evolution stuff. He's got some evolution stuff. Yeah. Oh, hey, Psych Guy. What up, man? This is, I don't know if you've been on this channel before, Psych Guy, but this is my off-topic nonsense channel. This is why I have a 3-hour stream going on. Yeah. This is the channel where I put, like, gameplay videos, my Dracula readings. I have a, what do you call it? I have a few other art streams. I have a reading of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven on here. Oh, is my mic cutting in and out? It shouldn't be. I'm seeing it as being good. That might be on YouTube's end. Is anyone else having mic cutout problems? I pulled the mic a little bit closer to me. I don't know if that'll help. But on OBS, it doesn't look like I'm cutting out. So I don't know. And that's the Ridley Pinker rational optimism speaking, and I'm down to place a bet that that's going to pan out in the future. I mean, eventually it will, but the things that are making life better for people now aren't really stopped. Some of them are on pause a little bit, but okay, so it might just be just a walking fish. It might just be you, just a walking fish. I'll pass off. You sound fine. All right, good. Oh yeah, you found it because I did Flowscape for me. Okay. Yeah, you know what? After this test render, I'm okay to do some basics on Blender. I'm still using this is currently version 2.8. I tend not to upgrade unless there's a specific feature I really want in the next version. But the difference between Blender 2.8 and 2.83, which is the current version, is not too huge. So yeah. That is one thing where T. Lane says that $5 in whatever it is, 100 years time will be $13,000. That's actually quite possible. Let's see. So the year that the Federal Reserve was introduced was 19. I believe it was 1919. No, it was 1913. Okay. So in 1913, when the Federal Reserve was introduced, $1 would buy. So one of those dollars would be worth 26.04 of our dollars. The cumulative rate of inflation during that period was 2,504%. So, yeah. Yeah. And the Federal Reserve was created with a mission to preserve the value of the US dollar. Good job on that one. That worked out. I probably shouldn't start ranting about economics. That's actually something I probably won't. Very unlikely, even if you ask me to. So yeah, so you can tell that I still have a lot of that great definition in here from the colors and all the maps and stuff. And a lot of that is just because of my normal map. The normal map allows me to have the illusion of all of this stuff, even though, like I said, if you look back at the 3D viewport, and let's say we go to here, this is the actual geometry that's there. Right, this is all that's actually there. In fact, I can add a what do you call it? A wireframe, so you can actually see what's physically there as far as the computer sees it. So where'd you go? Generate wireframe, and we're gonna not replace. So this you can see the actual the lines and whatnot, different faces. This is what the computer actually has to calculate. Now, if I turn this back up to 5, right? So up here, that's a lot bigger. But again, oh my goodness. You can't even see, some of it is so dense that it's starting to overlap with itself. And that's not even the full resolution. So that's why you don't want to render it with that craziness. Because every single one of these little faces that you get here, I'm going to turn it down to like 0.5 centimeters. Yeah, every single one of these little faces, the computer has to do calculations for. And that gets just insane, right? And so it's actually 4 times more dense than this is what I sculpted at. Don't render that. You're gonna break your computer. Bringing it down to here is fine. This is the actual original mesh that I actually made. Actually no, that's not even that. This is the original mesh I actually made, right? And then I get down to here where it has some of the sculpting data. Okay, good. That's all I want my computer to have to calculate. Okay. So I don't actually want the wireframe anymore. Actually, I don't even need the big guy. No, not really. Oh, you know what I need him for? I need him for the rig. Oh, but I still need to do the bump map. Okay, so we're gonna add in an emission shader, emission shader. Plug it in here. We're actually gonna switch back over to the other guy. So we're gonna get rid of. We're gonna bring Lore Tub back. We're gonna get rid of Scene Utility. We're gonna do it from the big guy. The big guy. All right, so we're going to grab this. I'm gonna make another new image. So this one is going to be called LoreTub _ bump. Give that a go. Yep, no alpha. Black and white is fine. We're actually going to save it out as a black and white file too. So I'm going to. You have to actually add the image in here, and it's kind of annoying, but whatever. Where'd you go? Image texture. Drop it in here. LoreTub bump. Add. Yep, normals. Nope, not normals. We want. Don't pick from multi-res. Commit, and we're just gonna render. Make it. So there are actually options other than set the texture you want or the image that you want into the output or input of a emission color node. But most of them have tricky little requirements, and so whenever I can, I just put the output into an emit node and just have it bake it that way. I cannot be bothered with all of this, like, oh, you can bake the ambient occlusion from directly in here and do this. I'm just like, no. Because there's always something that goes, I always get some error message for some stupid reason whenever I hit bake when I'm doing anything more complicated than this, and I have to look up what that error message means and then to figure out where my like dependency loop or some crap is, and it's just a gigantic pain. Don't do it. You can if you want. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. But yeah. Alright, that's all I got. Actually, I'm probably gonna have to get off the stream soon. I'm getting tired of talking. I have to do another stream tonight. That's Kent with Bent's gonna be at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8. No, not 5. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Do remember though that when ET turns back into EST, the time of Dapper Dino is going to be changing for you guys. It's going to be the same for me because Arizona doesn't do the daylight savings time. So it will become 5 Pacific and 8 Eastern. Because we're on Arizona time, me and Bent both live in Arizona. So there you go. Yeah. But sorry, baking is boring. Wrap up at like 12:30 or before. I think what I'm going to do is after I bake this image, I'm going to open up a new Blender file and I'm going to go through some of the basic stuff that you want to know to do Blender if you want to do Blender. Yeah. And then I'll wrap this up. I might do a little bit more work on my own. Kind of watch some old school Dapper Dino. I've got some old stuff in there that's some of it's a little on the cringier side than others of it. But actually, so a lot of YouTubers I know are really, really not happy with some of their earliest videos, and I'm not as strongly there. Like a lot of it's not something I would do now, but none of it's absolutely terrible, right? Like it's fine. So yeah, I'm not super ashamed of that stuff. Is it great? No. Is it fine? Yes. So yeah. Actually, some of it I'm pretty happy with. Actually, my first video I think is not too bad. It's about kinds and what it seems that creationists mean when they actually say the word kind, and why that doesn't actually mean anything important. Alright, so basically what this lets me do is go here. Get out of here. There we go. That's what I wanted. So basically it will let me take all this crap. I don't need it no more. Now I just have this. Boom. And so if I take this off, right, we just look at just the guy with the normal map. So this right here, now the shadows are kind of crappy, but okay, here we go. This right here, right, this is giving me all that bump in the combination of two textures. One is the bump texture. It's giving me these surface buddies here. The other one's a normal map that's giving me a lot of this stuff like the striations on the face and whatnot. Okay. So that's good because I had originally set this Voronoi texture to map to the object, right? But the problem there is, what if the object deforms? Well then, the little bumps aren't going to stay put because the object didn't move. It just deformed. And the texture doesn't know that because the texture is an idiot. So, okay, hold on, I got it. All right, so let's do some basic Blender. I'm gonna save this. We're gonna Chrome open as my active window. Save that. All right, so let's open up a new Blender file, fresh Blender file, never been touched. So the first time you open up Blender, you should be greeted with this. This is a splash screen. You can open up different kinds of files. The standard is just general. You'll get your most recent, what is it, 5 opened things. You can, go to open, recover last section, notes, whatever. If you just want to start actually using Blender with this new file, click off of this splash screen. Here you go. Maximized it. You start off with the default cube, a lamp, and a camera. All right, so let's say you want to model things. First, let's go over some of the basic things, right? G is your translate hotkey. Remember G because it stands for grab, right? Grab things and you move them. So if you grab something, it will always move in a plane defined by the angle of your viewport camera, not your scene camera, unless you're using it as your viewport camera, whichever way you're looking. Now, if you want to lock something to only moving in a particular axis, like let's say I want to only move it along the y-axis, you can hit G, then Y, and it will only move in the y-axis. Same thing for X, GX, only in the x-axis. GZ, only in the z-axis. Or Z, if you're from any place but the US. Okay, now let's say you want to rotate it. That's easy, R for rotate. The same things work, RX, only moves in the x-axis. RY only moves in the y-axis. RZ only in the z-axis. Great. But let's say you want to keep it to 2 axes instead of just 1. If I hit Shift Z, say, so G Shift Z, I can move it along the x and the y-axis, but not the z-axis. You can do that with anything. So I want to rotate it, but not on the z-axis. I can do this. Shift Z. R, Shift, there we go. I can rotate it various ways. So, the last one that you want is S. S works the same way. You can hit SZ, it'll only scale on the Z-axis. You can Shift Z, it'll only scale on the axes that aren't Z. There you go. Okay, this is object mode though. We can't really change where the vertices are in object space this way. You want to change vertices in object space? Go to edit mode. Edit mode. You can see I have selectors down here, point, line, and face. Face lets you select the whole face. Lines lets you select lines, and points lets you select each vertex. Okay. But there are even more hotkeys in here. Let's say I have this here, and I want to extrude it with E. Or here. And then let's say I want to scale it with S. And then let's say I want to rotate it, and then grab it and pull it down. So the big one to remember there is E to extrude, but then from there, all of your other hotkeys, like G for grab or translate, R for rotate, and S for scale, will work exactly as they did before, right? So, another important one is inset. You can inset a face. You can also inset a collection of faces. So, let's say I inset this, and then I want to extrude it. Okay, hey, look at that. Pretty neat. Now let's say I want to mirror it. I'll add a loop cut down the middle. I'll select all these faces. If I hit Alt, it lets me select a whole edge loop. That. Then Shift, click, allows me to add these. And I'm going to X to delete the faces. Go over here to my modifiers tab, find mirror, change it from X to Y. Now I've got this thing mirrored on both sides, so I can just do one side without and the other side will just copy it. So like, let's say I want to do another tier of these. Okay, so I inset and I extrude again. So now we've got this weird, abstract looking, I don't know what the heck it is. It's a thing. It exists. Just shut up. All right, now let's do something fancy, right? Let's add in a bevel modifier. So we'll add in, oh, not boolean, I said bevel. Bevel modifier, there we go. So the bevel modifier takes these corners and smooths them out a little bit. I like more than one segment. I like to go to 3, that's my default. Hit object, go to shade smooth. Now it's smooth. Now it looks like something that actually got made by somebody. All right, but it's not complicated enough. Let's add some cuts. So let's add another cube. Mesh cube. Let's go down here to the object settings, viewport display, get it down to wired. I don't need to see that whole thing, right? All right, awesome. Let's scale it down on the x-axis. Let's go to wireframe view so I can actually see what the heck's going on. All right, let's bring it up here. Well, let's put it here, right? Scale it up big time on the y-axis. All right, let's add another modifier because we like modifiers around here. So we'll add in an array modifier. But they're touching. I don't want them touching, so I'll increase the offset. Not enough of them. Get a bunch. All right, that's pretty cool. But actually, I want it to be even lower. I want it to extend across the whole thing of this. So we're gonna X, grab X. Actually, that is enough. We'll bring it down a little bit more. All right, now you're asking yourself, hey Dapper, what are you doing? Watch this. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna add a modifier. It's gonna be called Boolean. I'm gonna put it up above so it applies before the bevel. You gotta remember to have the stack in the right order. The modifiers are applied in order. So first it's mirrored, then it's Booleaned, then it's beveled.
The difference boolean. That means it's going to cut out this. So hey, look. Now it's got a bunch of weird cuts in it. Why? I don't know. It just does. I added them. Well, that's neat. Let's say we want to poke a hole in the whole thing. I'll add let's see, a cylinder. Let's rotate it on the y-axis. RY, and then you can actually type in with your numpad, assuming numlock is on, 90. It'll just rotate. That's not the right direction really though, so let's rotate it on the z-axis again. Alright, let's scale it up on the y-axis. That's a bit too big, so we'll S shift Y. So it stays the same length on the y-axis, but gets tinier. Alright, I like it. Go over here. Let's make it wired. I don't have to see it. Go over here. Add new Boolean modifier. Boom. Put it up above the bevel again. Difference. This guy. Hey, look, we got a hole. Goes all the way through. Neat. There you go. There's some Blender basics. Another cool thing you might want. So Alt H. Let's grab all these guys and delete them because I don't want them no more. X. All right. Let's say you got a cool mesh like this monkey. That's a pretty cool monkey. But you know what? It could be smoother. Hit Control 2. Look at that. It applied a subdivision modifier. Subdivision takes all of the vertices, right? Or actually all of the lines, right? So, viewport. Here we go. And the first time, it divides them all in half and smooths out the rotation. So, smoother, 4 times as many actually, polygons. Do it again, even smoother. Do it again, even smoother. Now be careful though, because the higher you go up, the more trouble it's gonna give your computer. So like if you render this guy, it's like nothing. Render this guy, well, you're at 16 times as many vertices, so you know, don't go overboard is what I'm saying. Shade it smooth, hey look, there you go. Now we get a nice cool monkey. That's how people usually render this thing. This is Suzanne, by the way. This is Suzanne. If you want to do something fun, you can set Suzanne on fire. Let's set Suzanne on fire. Add a cube. Scale it up a bit. We're gonna make this a. We're gonna go into the what is it? Physics tab. They changed the shape of one of these things. I can't remember what anything is. We're gonna make it a smoke domain. Smoke domain. There you go. Actually, we're gonna click on adaptive domains. So adaptive domain. I like to do high resolution. Usually, I go to 2 divisions. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. All right, let's bring it up a little bit just so we're not wasting all that space at the bottom. Okay. So. Let's see, 32 subdivisions is fine because we're not actually rendering anything. So now we click on Suzanne, add smoke to her too, but this time, low. Alright, not just smoke though, fire and smoke. Hit spacebar to watch it play. Suzanne's on fire now. There you go. Now it's been purged in the name of the Emperor. Hit spacebar again and zoom around it. The flame's in 3D. Neat. There you go. I just taught you how to set a monkey on fire. Blender. All right, well I think that's it for me for now. Is learning how to set Suzanne on fire. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to do a little bit more work on the lore tub after I probably grab some lunch or something. And yeah, come back on to Dapper Dino, the main channel, tonight at whatever time that is for you. And we're going to do Kent with Bent 32. I also actually have to double check where we left off with Kent with Bent because I do not remember. So yeah, I hope all of you had a great time, and I hope this was a little bit of help with like the basics of using Blender. I also recommend Blender Guru has a video series called something like
Blunder for Beginners or something. T Lane has taken it. Ask him for more details because he probably remembers it better than I do. I didn't take it because I don't really consider myself a beginner. But anyway, that's it. Talk to y'all later. You've all been wonderful. Goodbye.